Welcome to Building Fortunes Radio. Make sure you check us out at buildingfortunesradio.com. Along with our marketing partners, we're here to help our PM Marketing Network Lead customers build their businesses and make the world a better place. At Building Fortunes, we know how much your business means to you and the people important to you. So spread the word, tell a friend, join our newsletter, and go make a difference in your world. Now on to our show with your host, Peter Mingles.
Hello, everyone. This is Peter Mingles here. You're listening to us on the Building Fortunes Radio Show. That's www.buildingfortunesradio.com. And this is our very special segment. We do this every Tuesday at noon Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Central Time, with a great friend of ours. His name is George Vincent. So I met George Vincent several months ago when he started to ask me some questions. He became a customer of ours. And I said, you know what, you got a really great and interesting story. You got a passion for helping people build a home-based business. You're doing it yourself. You have a great background in technology, a good handle on a lot of things. So it'd be great if you hosted a radio show with us where we could kind of share that, and I could shine a spotlight on anything that you might be working on. So, and also I like working with him. So he's got a similar mindset to what we have. And I said, this would be a great connection. So let's use the Building Fortunes radio platform to be able to help as many people as we possibly can, because there's a lot of people that are looking. They're drowning, we'll playfully say, in a sea of information, or worse than that, in a polluted sea of disinformation sometimes even. And there's a lot of people that need a lot of help. So I want to introduce a great friend of ours. His name is George Vincent. And I know George got a phone ringing in the background. That's totally okay, because I haven't shut all my phones off as well. But George Vincent, thanks for being here as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Peter. That call could go to voicemail.
That's okay.
Great to get on the show again. Really love and enjoy doing these shows with you. And, man, there's just so much information out there that just really needs to get out. And so I can't think of a better platform to kind of, talk to people and kind of let them know what we see coming down the road.
Right, yeah, real conversations with real people affecting real people's lives and solutions. Solutions.
And
so
solutions.
You had a couple.
That's the biggest part.
Yep. So you had a couple of points that you wanted to bring up relative to previous things. And for instance, or for example, though, for those people listening in, you could always hear the previous George Vincent radio shows by going to buildingfortunesradio.com, do a name search, look for George Vincent. He's had people from different companies, he's had leading distributors, good people in the industry as well, and we'll have future shows as well. But today we're going to talk about a few topics. And George Vincent, I think you were going to talk about the effects of technology on the economy and the effects of technology on maybe even your life personally, the effects of technology on other people around you, definitely. So back to you.
Oh, yeah. And, this is going to be a continuing series. Not sure how long it will last, but there's just so much information out there. And people just really need to be aware. These things happen. Automation is happening all over the place. And people just need to get prepared. Even myself as a programmer, as I get older, the good news is and has been that my rate has gone up. The bad news is that I'm expensive to hire. And, it's easier and cheaper to hire these young programmers just getting out of school. And, plus they're already educated with some of the newer technology. So that's kind of what led me to you. I've been studying and working in the network marketing industry for a few years. And so now I'm full-time and I'm loving it. And but my main goal is to be able to help other people to, kind of gain their own financial freedom through building their own economy. So let me start out. Woke up this morning thinking about one of my favorite Aesop fables. I don't know if parents still read those to their kids or their children anymore, but they sure need to. So I want to start out with this. Might sound kind of crazy at first, but bear with me. There's a method to my madness. So this one is called The Ant and the Grasshopper. And here we go. In a field one summer's day, a grasshopper was hopping about and chirping and singing to his heart's content. An ant passed by, bearing along with great toil an ear of corn he was taken to the nest. Why not come and sing with me, the grasshopper said, instead of toiling and working hard in that way. I'm helping to lay up food for the winter, said the ant, and I recommend you do the same. Why bother with winter, said the grasshopper. We've got plenty of food at present. But the ant went on his way and continued its toil. Well, when winter came, the grasshopper, perishing with hunger, passed by and earnestly begged for a little food. The ants inquired of him, why did you not treasure up food during the summer? He replied, I did not have enough leisure. I passed the days in singing and dancing. They then said in scorn and derision, if you were foolish enough to sing all summer, you must dance supperless to bed in the winter. So very, very pertinent to our conversation in our mini-series that we've been having here. Any thoughts on that, Peter?
Well, it's the idea of the instant gratification or, just not paying attention to what's going on. As for someone like myself, who's not necessarily always a lot of fun to be around because I'm such a preparer, I'm always looking for them. Mm-hmm. Where's the shoe going to drop? Are we going to be prepared for this long term, like 3, 4, 5, 6 layers deep? So I get it. I get it. But unfortunately, I live with and sometimes am affected by that other mentality. So I get it. And
yeah,
it's more than an Aesop fable today. There are things that are happening down the line, which I think is the conclusion we want to come to. There are things that are happening today that some people might not be paying attention to that will affect them sometime in the very near future, and the future is speeding up faster than I think it's ever done before.
Absolutely. I've talked to you about this on a couple of occasions, but I've been a programmer for like 20 years, and that might seem like a long time, but it's really not. I mean, if you think about it, how often have, we or people just wasted a year? The years just fly by, especially parents or busy parents, working multiple jobs, what have you, and it seems like your children are just growing before your eyes so quickly, and the years just fly by. Well, when I was first beginning, I was in college. I was broke, like most college students, and I didn't even have enough money to be able to buy my own computer, which I had to have for this programming class. So I built one. I had made a friend in school and college, and he owned a computer store, and that's what they did. You take your computers and they fix them or make you one or, what have you. So for many years, I would just sit. I had my computer set up in my bedroom, and I would just sit there. I would work during the day, then go to school in the evenings, and then whatever time I had left, I'd get on my computer and I'd do all my homework and learning how to program. And I did that for many, many years, and especially it was really rough, like in the summer, when everybody's going to the beach or, what I'm saying, or bike riding or going on vacation and everybody's having fun. But I always had in my mind, well, for one thing, at that point, I was working factory jobs, making very little money, $20,000 a year. That's not really a lot of money when you're trying to support your family.
Sure. After taxes,
so
it's
I
next to
figured,
nothing.
well,
yeah, after taxes, it's next
exactly.
to nothing.
Yeah. So I figured, well, I could go get a couple more jobs, or I could get in on this computer thing. And I think I told you a story about how one time our time system, which was all on the computer, went down, and they called the guy that created the system. He talked to him on the phone for like 40 minutes and charged him $250. And wow, so a big difference in the amount he was making versus what I was making. And so I went to school. But I said all that to say that, you've got to, you got to put the work in, and you have to pay attention to what's going on around you. There's so many trends going on. Let me read you something real quick. I was just reading an article about robots are all set to compete with humans, and which a lot of that is already happening. But this article talks about the fourth industrial revolution, which is defined as the robotic revolution and artificial intelligence. And they said that this would threaten the current lifestyle, communication, education, and real life, which will transfer into a virtual one, starting from sewing shops, and not only ending with pharmacies, but there's a lot more industries that will be impacted, and those jobs will be replaced by robots and artificial intelligence. Peter, you want to jump in?
Sure. I think the artificial intelligence and the robots and the automation is going to be more evident now than ever before. I was listening to somebody recently on a TED Talk. So I'm a big TED Talk fan, where I watch a lot of things. There's a lot of people that are really smart that come in from different areas. So if anybody's unfamiliar with that, if they go to TED, as in TED, which does not stand for the man's first name, it stands for something else, like Technology, Education, and Development, or whatever, .com. So if you go there anyway, so I was listening to this one guy, and he says, there's a new form of work that you do. And as he was kind of explaining, he says, like, you, meaning me or you, probably go to work.
Right.
We have a quote-unquote job or a business, so we work for the money. And then we have another form of work, which is the stuff we do for our families. And that's the stuff, you do for your kids or your grandkids or maybe whatever, and probably, for church or whatever other kind of work you do. And then there's another kind of work that you don't get paid for, and that's the work you do for another company. For instance, when you use the ATM at a bank, you're doing the teller's work, so they don't have to pay the teller anymore. So you say, I really never thought about that. When you book your own flights, then you're doing the work of the travel agent. So there's places where you do the work for other companies that you're just not aware of. Now, some people, if you've ever seen a ATM, you would say, yeah, I get it. That makes sense. Like, I get it. Whenever you go to Walmart now and you go to the self-checkout counter, you're doing the work of the cashier. What a lot of people don't realize, so this is the hidden one, is there's a lot of workers that are being replaced by artificial intelligence, and there's a lot of workers that are being replaced by the technology, and it's happening fast. I'm going to use an exaggeration which isn't true, but it's almost as if every company that can replace someone through automation, or everyone that can replace something by using big data, crunching it, and using artificial intelligence is trying to. Now, it's not all going to work out well, but that doesn't matter. That's not going to stop them from working on it. So maybe the next generation is going to be able to have a more refined, more efficient level of artificial intelligence and automation, but it's happening right now. There are people, depending on who you talk to and want to admit to it, that would say there's a pretty good portion of the jobs that are out there, retail, anything that a robot could be programmed to do. There's a whole bunch of jobs that are going to be eliminated, whether you realize it or not. So just like I identified that new form of work that we're doing for companies that we're not getting paid for, or we may not be really paying attention to, there's a whole bunch of things that are happening under the ground in most situations that people are just oblivious to. So I'll let you comment on that. Oh, and maybe we should do this.
100%.
Hold that thought. Let's do our commercial first, and we'll be right back. So you're listening to the George Vincent Radio Show on Building Fortunes Radio. Here we go.
Thanks for listening to Building Fortunes Radio. If you sell a product or service, then you should check out PM Marketing's NetworkLeads.com. Just visit www.networkleads.com. For over 18 years, PM Marketing has helped distributors build their home-based businesses through lead generation, website development, automated email delivery systems, and sales training. If you're looking for a way to increase your skills and increase the number of people that see your product or opportunity, NetworkLeads.com can help. To learn more, visit www.networkleads.com. Ask about their lead management system, capture pages, personalized websites, MLM training, humongous blogs, the humongous classified ad network, Building Fortunes Radio, or their webinar schedule. NetworkLeads.com can be your one-stop shop for everything you need. And now, back to our show.
And we are back. Peter Ingles here with George Vincent. Go ahead, George. I want to hear your comments on what we mentioned.
All right. This is in another article that I read. I read a lot. I love to read. But two researchers in Oxford University, Carl Benedict Frey and Michael A. Osborne, estimated that about 47% of the total U.S. employment force is at risk of computerization. 47% of the total U.S. workforce. That's almost half. And it seems to me like people just really aren't paying close enough attention to the changes that are going on all around them right now. Some of this stuff they're talking about, up to 2025, but we've been surprised a lot by technology, and that's because technology grows not at a gentle slope. You can look at a really pretty graph and you can see it gently rising, but technology just zooms at exponential rates. So the faster it goes, basically the faster it goes and the more technology is covered. So things that we might have thought would happen 20 years from now, like driverless cars, it's already here because the technology keeps zooming ahead. And as technology grows, things get easier for companies to do. AI, for example, now they have AI that can program itself. You don't even need programmers anymore, like myself. And so this thing is zooming along, and now's the time that you have to prepare for the winter that's coming. And winter always comes. We know that. Well, this winter is coming, and it's a winter of a different kind. And let me go over. I found a list of the top 10 jobs that robots will dominate within the next 20 years. And again, don't let that 20-year time frame fool you, because some of them are already replacing humans right now. So number 10, minimum wage service clerks like cashiers, bank tellers, even librarians, and Peter, you just briefly touched on that. Number 9, and I'll go back over some of this stuff. Number 9, waiters. For example, check out Applebee's or Chili's. They've got the tablet right there on the table. I use them all the time. And they still have waiters, but the waiters do less. And it's way more convenient. I mean, I really enjoy not having to wait for someone to come so I could pay my check, because, you know, I've had a great meal and, you know, now I'm ready to leave. So, but that's already there and it's going to expand. We also have telemarketers and tech support. For an example, when I just got my taxes done this year, the last thing that my tax preparer did was to let IBM's Watson, you've heard of Watson, you see the commercials all over the place. He let Watson go over my tax preparation to make sure that he didn't make any mistakes. So if Watson is the last step to make sure that the human didn't make mistakes, how long is it going to be before you don't need the human? Watson's already there. How about real estate agents? You know, you go online and there's all these virtual homes. You know, you might not have time to drive across town, but you want to take a look at some of these houses that are for sale. You just jump online. They have the virtual tours, and the need for actual humans to guide you through the house is becoming less and less. And that's another one that's easy for robots to dominate that. Journalists, how about that? You know, the fake news and all that, you know, politics, everybody's mad at everybody. But right now, I can guarantee you that right now, some of the articles that you read are already written by robots. They're not written by humans anymore. Now, there are still journalists, and I think that's an important category of workers there, but the work's already being done, and some of them are already being replaced. Now, here's the one. Now we're down to number 5, and this one kind of surprised me a little bit. Pharmacists. I would have thought that would have been harder to replace, but apparently it's pretty easy. There's one hospital that has already replaced all of its human pharmacists, and the patient safety rate has gone up. So these robotic pharmacists, they don't make mistakes. So patient safety goes up, the hospital profits go up, and I have to imagine that the hospital's insurance rates go down because now the hospital is operating safer. What else do we have? Number 4, and we've been talking about driverless cars for a couple of segments here, but you have automated, you have driverless cars, and something that happens all the time that a lot of people never really pay attention to is pilots. People think that humans fly the planes. Well, basically the pilots, they take off and they land the plane. But the autopilot actually flies the distance. So how long will it be before pilotless planes are the norm? So these are examples of the technology already being here. This is not in the future. It's already here. And like with everything else, the more the technology gets out there and the more it's used, the better the technology gets. You know, I can remember a time when we had the big old bulky reel-to-reel tape recorders, and that's how we recorded everything and listened to music. Well, what do you have now? I've got everything's on my phone. You know, there's no reel-to-reel. There's no tape decks anymore. There's no 8-tracks. And I guess DVDs, other than movies, are on its way out. And with all the streaming services, probably the movies on DVD might go away also. So, I mean, again, technology is here, and now's the time. You have to prepare. And I just want to go through 3 is soldiers. You know, you already have the drones. You see the newscasts all the time with the automated drones really carrying on a big portion of the wars that we have. And I don't know if you've seen them, but I see them more and more on TVs where the soldiers have these big old pack robots that carry all the gear for the soldiers. You know, you have drones in the sea, drones in the sky, and just a lot of automation going on the battlefield, which is kind of scary. I'd hate to see that end up in the hands of AI, but it's already here. Teachers are being replaced, you know, with budget cuts to education. There's AI has already taken over classrooms. So the trend only increases. And last but not least is doctors. Now, who would have ever thought that robots or AI could replace doctors? But if you think about it, you know, they've got I just saw a commercial for this thing that works through your phone. And you put your 4 fingers on there, and it does an EKG and tests your heart rate and all this stuff. You know, robots are assisting in operating rooms today. And a lot of times a doctor might not even have to be in the operating room because of all the technology that allows him to see what's going on. You know, you have sonograms and everything else. So it's here, folks. And last but not least, what about warehouse workers? Now, I wasn't sure where that goes on the list, but Amazon and Skechers sneakers, you know, their distribution center, they've already automated most of their warehouses. So how long is that going to be before, you know, Foot Locker? I used to work at Foot Locker, and half of that process has already been automated. When the time I left, probably about 8 years ago, they didn't actually have robots in the warehouse. But how long is it going to be before Foot Locker and other warehouses have to bring in robots so that they can compete with these other companies that already automate their warehouses? So, man, you know, it's here, folks, and you have to. It's super important right now. Now's the time to start building your own economy. Right now, what do you think about that, Peter?
Yeah, if you don't have control of what's going on in your own economy, and meaning your own household and your own finances, you're really going to potentially set yourself up for being quote-unquote in trouble, because anything that might disrupt the security that you have currently, because it might be based on something else, is really going to turn your life upside down when the SHTF, you know, when the poop hits the fan, you're going to be really in trouble. So whether it's in food production or whether it's in how stuff gets to you or what you do now, chances are almost all of us are probably going to be affected one way or another, both positively and negatively, But when it comes to the way you generate your income, if you don't have something going on with your own home-based business, you're in trouble. So we're running out of time, Vince. So we're going to catch everybody next week on Building Fortunes Radio. We're going to have some more great stuff for you. And this is the George Vincent Radio Show. George and Vincent, thanks for going over those really cool points. And come back next week. We're going to complete our thoughts for sure on those things and have some great solutions for you as well. We'll see you next week, everybody. Thanks and bye for now. Oh, make sure you check out again. Go to buildingfortunesradio.com. Check out the George Vincent Radio Show. We'll catch you next week. Thanks, everybody.
You've been listening to Building Fortunes Radio on buildingfortunesradio.com. Thanks for listening. Be sure to check us out every Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time for the designated Building Fortunes Radio segment with Peter Mingle. Be sure to check out the buildingfortunesradio.com website for our featured segments. It's been our privilege to have you listen in. At Building Fortunes Radio, we wish you the success you deserve and are willing to work for. So spread the word, tell a friend, join our newsletter, and go make a difference in your world.